Welcome everyone, hope you're keeping nice and busy and not getting too bored. Now I asked a few questions over Instagram and YouTube for you guys to ask me and I'm going to answer them for you. A nice little video, dead informative, and it just gives you guys the answers which you're looking for. So I've given you the chance to ask the question. Today we're just going to run through all of them questions. Well, I've got my brew and I've got my phone with all the questions on, so let's get started. Not going to waste any time doing this. So the first question is from Ron Davis. He said, "Hi Matt, when would you look to use shot rather than stots?" Now, it's a really simple thing to answer. Some people get confused about it, and I just like to have a little set way in my head, and I just stick to this. So when you're using shot is when you're not moving your shots about in your line. By this I mean like a bulk and two droppers, strung out bulk like in the winter, stuff like that. Nice solid bulks that you're not going to be moving. Now this might be confusing when I go into stots, but when using stots I like to use it and I'm moving my shot up the line. So what I mean by this is, say if I'm shallow fishing, I might not want all my shot on my hook length. I might want to spread it out evenly. Then I might want to oil my hook length. Then I might want to bulk and two droppers, bulk and one, mixing it up, stuff like that. So when you're using shot, when you're looking to leave it in position and not move it, so say like a set shotting pattern, bulk and two droppers, strung out bulk, I wouldn't use it for trimmer shot because you might have to move them if you have to move your depth. So I'd look to use shot when you're anchoring it in position, and stots when you're looking to move it round the line freely. Yes, they do move a little bit, but you can move them freely on the line. They don't damage your line. Nice and simple. So that's my stots and shots one. Just stots use when you're moving them about, shot when you're anchoring in position. So I hope that helps, Ron. So we've got Gary asked, when fishing in the cooler months, do you use ground bait to start your peg off? Depends what you're fishing for, really. When you're fishing in the winter months, you're not really going to be feeding straight away. So you're looking to dob some fish or set a little bit of maggots or pellets and just try and catch them that way. So the only time I'd look to feed ground bait is if I was at an F1 venue and they're responding well as crust expander, or I was fishing for silvers where you need to put some volume of ground bait in, draw them fish into an area, let them settle and gather, and then catch them that way. So I hope that helps, Gary. Got Ian message now. What's your thought on fluorocarbon hook lengths? Or as hook lengths? To be fair, I don't like using them for F1 fishing, but with silvers and big carp, I think they can play a massive difference. What I mean by this is I've experimented in the summer fishing with fluorocarbon hook lengths when fishing shallow for carp. Nice 5 pound, 6 pound fluorocarbon hook lengths. And if you think it gives you an advantage, then go ahead and use it. I think with silvers it does give you an advantage. You can just fish that bit finer, it's a bit stiffer, and then silverfish are quite wary in these colder months. So I don't personally use it. I just use 08 power line or AccuPower, depending on what I'm fishing for. If I'm fishing for like small silvers, I'll use AccuPower. If I was fishing for like small silvers, the bigger one, just use power line, just so I know I'm not going to get broke. So hope that helps, Ian. Now Lee's message in, when shotting rigs, does it make much difference to presentation using more or less shot? If you're to use shot at 4x14, would you use number 8 or number 9? Ideally, you just want it with that. It probably won't make too much difference. It just might make your rig tangle, which you don't want. So what you'll want to look for, say if you use, I think a 4x14 will take 5 number 8s, but it probably takes 6 number 9s, 7 number 9s maybe. So to be fair, you just want that little tiny inch of your bulk shot, and that's it. So really I'd look to use number 8 there, pal. You're going to risk yourself getting tangles in number 9, number 10s, number 11s. I used to do it years ago and I used to get a few tangles. Since I've changed, eliminated all them tangles. So hope that helps. Daniel's messaged in, what elastic choices if you could have 3 throughout the summer for F1s and carp up to double figures? I'd probably use 11, 13 and 15. Now, this is the thing I'm not really sure what to do this summer. Do I keep some hollow elastics or do I change some Duraslip? Now, I've been using Duraslip for F1s in short kits and I've loved it. I haven't really had a go on for carp, so I don't really know what to say or expect for that sort of thing. So I'm going to go for Duraslip. I'm going to put that in this summer. So I'm going to go 11, 13 and 15. That'll cover me for everything. So F1s, I've got 11 and 13 to be fair. And then for carp, I've got 13 and 15. So 15 would be when you're catching down the edge and shore and you're catching them big weights. So yeah, them 3 elastics, that's what I'd look for. Right, so the next question's come from Mark on Instagram. And we've got, how many times do we use the same rig before changing the line and hook length? Now, if you know me well, this you probably find this quite funny, but I always change my hook length. You don't want a blunt or rusty hook or a damaged hook length, because at the end of the day, if you get that wrong, you're going to lose fish and you don't want that. But with your main line, in the summer, you're going to be using 017, 019, in some cases 021 when you're catching the big carp down the edge. And if the main line's not damaged or broken or fraying a little bit, then I don't feel the need to change it. I just like to keep it dead simple. I've had rigs on my shallow kits for months and months because that strong, durable main line, that's what I always speak about. That's why. So yeah, hooks all the time, every session. But with mainline, just if you like changing it, change it. But with mainline, it's nice and robust. You're not fishing for little silvers with smaller mainlines and then going carp fishing. You're fishing with nice durable mainline. So that's ideal for that situation. So I hope that helps, Mark. But if you know me, that's quite funny because I don't like doing prep and I keep the same rigs as long as I can, really. But till what's necessary. Now, Brad on Instagram's asked, how to get sponsored by Preston? Well, it's an accumulation of a few things. I think fishing on the open circuit for a number of years, like here at Western Pools. I think I won the Pole Masters a month before, so I think that helped massively. And then we were down here shooting a feature, I think it was a Catch More Media, and Frankie came up to us and just asked us and spoke to Robbie, and that's how we got sorted out. But I think if you're looking to maybe that's what you want in your fishing, just try to enjoy fishing. It'll come along if it comes along, and don't get too obsessed with it. I know a lot of youngsters ask a lot of questions, how do I get sponsored, how do I do this? Just for a tip for me is enjoy fishing, and if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. That's the way in life. You just enjoy it, go about, and if you're enjoying your fishing, nothing else matters, does it? So that's how I'd get sponsored, and that's how I got sponsored by Preston. Just keep working, promoting yourself, keep pushing yourself. You've got to be very present on social media, but just enjoy it. Sometimes it's just we forget about the enjoyment of fishing, get too obsessed with matches, stuff like that, and just going out on the banks and just catching some fish is what we all love, really. So we've got another question from Brad. He sent a few in, so we've just done them at the same time. This one's 2, so I've just left him in, just answering this scenario basically. So he's asked, best achievement in match fishing. I'm going to say Pole Masters. Now, I've fished that event every year, and the first 2 years, I think Andy Bennett won it. First 2 years back to back, then Connor won it. And that's when I won it after Connor, and then Jamie won it after that, and then Johnny R for this year. But I just feel like if you're a commercial angler, that is the creme de la creme of fishing. Like, I understand why acres is big, but there's an element of porth and skimmers and different styles of fishing, and that just brings a different ability to your fishing. You've got to do everything. You've got to do method feeder, waggler, long pole, wade out in the lake, feed ground bait for roach, skimmers, maybe fish a method for skimmers, cage feeder. But with the Pole Masters, it's solely commercial, and I just feel it's probably one of the hardest things to win. I got lucky when I won it with a bit of room and people not turning up, but that's what you need in fishing, a bit of luck. But definitely the Pole Masters. And then you have the biggest role model in fishing, or hero role model in match fishing. I'm going to say there's two really that helped me out massively. There's a lot after me starting match fishing, which I'll bring up in that. But when I've started, when I was probably like 15, 16, Andy Bennett and Jamie Hughes were coming onto the scene, and just the way they announced themselves on the bank, lucky enough to live in the northwest where I was going to the venues that they were fishing, speaking to them, had a coaching day with both of them, and I just feel like them two were the ones for me. But it's changed over the years. They're still like that, but I've spoke to a lot more people and just got a lot more respect for other people as well that have helped me massively. There's a lot more people know who they are, they helped me, but Paul Holland, he's one of them. What he's doing at the minute is fantastic. I'm trying to push match fishing. I speak to him regular. He's helps me along. Some days you have bad days, give him a ring, picture back up, stuff like that. So I'd say Jamie and Andy, and then more modern day than Paul. Kyle Instagram's asked, best catapult to keep maggots nice and grouped 11 to 13 metres. Well, what I've worked out, if you cut down the small Preston match catapult, 5-inch segments of your elastic, just give it a little ping and try and fire it. Don't fire it like, say, level with the water. Try and fire it up in the air and it'll come down nice and grouped like a little bin lid. That's what I found. Just adapt it, just so you can get them maggots nice and grouped, nice and tight, 11, 13 metres, like you've said. But yeah, just adapt that elastic, 5 inches, about right. Put the pouch back on and you'll be able to feed them nice. It just gives the right tension, which I found. And now Tom Batts has asked favourite carp venue. I'm gonna, obviously here at Western Pools, but it's a bit different fishing. There's everything here. There's F1s, R's, stuff like that. But mainly carp, that's all that's in there. I'm gonna say the Glebe. Bit of a love affair with it last year. It only started going recently. They're doing a few open matches on the Fridays, and I fished a few of them and a few qualifiers and ladies fundraiser match, and it's just phenomenal fishing. Like a big hard pellets you can catch on a bomb feeder, waggler on some days, mugging, short pole, edge, long pole, shallow. It's just fantastic. And if you haven't been and they're running a little open match, get on it, because that is probably one of my favourite carp venues, to be fair. Obviously here at Western's brilliant, but there's a lot more different varied fishing, and you don't really target solely carp. You can get F1s, Ard, stuff like that. So solely carp, I'm going to say the Glebe. Now Jack's asked, which of the new Des ship floats is your favourite and what size do you use the most? I'm probably going to say the one I use the most all year round is probably a 4x12 F1 maggot. This is because in the winter I can fish on the bottom with maggots, nice and light, and in the summer I can use hard pellets if I need to. And that's slow fall, fishing maggots on the bottom, meat fishing. It's just a versatile float. I could even use it if I needed to for soft pellets. And I know you like to use a wire stem, get it dead stable, but I could use it for that. So I'm going to say a 4x12 F1 maggot float. I'm going to go with that one. Chris has asked, what's your favourite species? I'm going to say a barbel. I used to go a lot of fishing with Dad, Prince Albert, when I was a lot younger. I used to go on the rivers, and to be fair, still, that fight you get off a barbel on the river is something else. Just you sat there 1 minute, your rod's like that, next minute it's gone like that, and you just strike. You get your arm pulled off. It's the best thing. If you haven't done any barbel fishing on the river, give it a go this year. Make it a bit of your goal. Will's asked, what is your most favourite thing from Preston and what is your favourite bait for F1s? I'm going to say, favourite thing for Preston. I'll come at the favourite bait for F1s first. I'm going to say maggots. I really enjoy fishing maggots on the bottom, shallow. My favourite way of fishing is when you can fish on the bottom in the early part of the match and they just rise off the bottom, catch them like 2 foot deep, 2.5 foot deep. I think it's fantastic when it's like that. A favourite thing from Preston? Probably going to say Elastic. I've used it for years, to be fair. Yeah, elastic. 11 Oller, that's my favourite. But that jaw slip's good now. But yeah, 11 Oller, nice red one. I've used it for years, to be fair. I've used it ever since I started match fishing here at Weston. James Roberts, is it your choice to use the XS70 over the XS90? Yeah, well, come to parent with this. I was going to order a new pole. And we went filming on the DVD at Tunnel Barn, and I used the 70, and to be fair, I thought, well, what's the point of ordering anything else if I like this pole? So that's why I've got the 70. So yeah, it's my choice. I really like fishing with it because you can use short kits, make it a little bit stiffer with the short number 3. Go long kits, carp fishing. I feel I've got the strength and rigidity. It's got the reinforced joints, same as the XS90, and it's purple. What more do you want for that? But yeah, it's my choice. But to be fair, when I used it when I was filming, I liked it. So if you like something, why change it? Doesn't matter about price. Sometimes the best price ones aren't necessarily the best one for you. If you could design your own peg, what would it be? If you're talking a Snake Lake commercial, I'm probably going to say we'd have a nice flat edge, nothing hanging over, maybe a little reed bed, then a mud hole, so you can fish in nice depths, and it'd probably be like that, so you can get like 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot down the middle, don't want it too deep, straight across, same the other side. Bit boring, but just want it nice and perfect so you can fish all your little depths. If you're probably saying a bit of a crabtree peg, you want to pot some brambles, bit of a fight on your hand with a margin pole, then that'll be interesting, but I'm going to go with a bit boring, to be fair there, Callum. And back onto the YouTube. What's a must-have in your seat box trays and size, and what depth are you looking for this time of year? Gonna say shot. That shot and bristle grease this time of year, if that's what you're mentioning. Shot and bristle grease. Some days when it's flat calm, you want to get your float docked down to a pimple, but then you put a little bit too much shot on, just dab that bristle grease on, it gives you so much sensitivity. You can see all them little dinks and bites, catch more fish. This time of year as well, if you're unsure what depth, just fish 3. The highest you want to come is 3 foot unless you get liners, and then you want to be fishing in, say, 3 foot to 6 foot. Don't get me wrong, if your venue's a bit deeper, then look to fish a bit deeper, but no, I want to say 3 to 6 foot's about right. But if you're fishing for F1s, 3 foot on a shelf can be perfect for them this time of year. Ian's asked, what elastic would you use on a commercial with a mixed bag of fish up to 12 pounds? Probably 11 and 13 elastic, just because you're not going to, 12 pound carp isn't going to pull you everywhere. It's a big fish, but it's not going to pull you everywhere. 11, 13, either draw or slip or holler. I'd probably go with, let's see, is that question again. I'd probably go with the holler for personal excuse, because I haven't used the draw or slip in them sizes for the carp. But yeah, 11 will get you fishing if you catch them carp, bonus, and if you're on a few more carp, just put 13 in. Ricky's asked, in the summer, what rig would you use on the bottom for heavy baits, i.e. 6 and 8 mil pellets and corn, and open water venues around 4.5 foot, 5 foot, and what advantages would you give this over other rigs? Well, that all depends on your tow and the conditions. So if you've got a flat calm day and it's perfect conditions, I'd look to use a carp pellet because it's got a wide stem, so it's nice and stable, and it's got a thick 2 mil bristle. So you can get them extra big baits on. You're not going to get shy bites on 6 and 8 mil pellets and corn. You're going to get nice positive indications. If you want to be fishing number 8s, number 9 shot, just so you can get that positive dink. And then if it's really windy, I'd look to use like an intercarbon or an interwire. Just interwire if you want a bit more stability, but intercarbon, yeah, it's got a bit smaller bristle, but you just put a bit more bristle out and make sure your bait's sat on the bottom correctly. So that the advantages you're saying, the carp pellet, if it was flat calm, don't get me wrong, if it was a slight breeze, you get away with it, but I'm talking like hurricane weather, but we don't really get that in summer. So yeah, carp pellet, and then if it's really, really windy or it's towing through a lot, use a little rugby ball body float. This one's a good question actually from Colin. Why do people use double elastics like double 6 instead of single 12? This is because when you strike on a single 12, say if you're fishing for F1s and smaller carp, say 2 to 3 pound, if you use a 12 elastic you might bump some fish. But with double 6, it's gonna come, say 12 elastic you strike, it comes out say a foot like that. But with double 6, it's gonna come out much more, and you get a nice play in action, but you still got the power of 2 elastics, so it powers up to a 12 if you need it to. So that's why people use it, just so it's a bit softer on the strike, you're not gonna bump a fish. Ideal for mixed fisheries, say you're fishing for F1s, smaller carp with the other bigger carp, and the smaller skimmers and stuff like that, and you didn't want to lose anything, that'll be perfect. Double number 6 over a single 12. Oh, I've lost me thing here. There we go, back on it. Mark says, snake lakes with more carp than F1s, would you use short kits across and what elastics? On snake lakes, yeah, I would. I'd use either a 13 Jura slip, if there's a lot of carp, say 2 to 4 to 5 pound. If they're really big, say like 6 to 10 pound, use a long kit. But if they're a match size, say 2 to 4 pound, 5 pound, use a short kit with 13 Jura slip in. That's what I've used previously in the past, and it's just, you get them in no problem. Place like Herringbrook, you can use them there, where you catch some F1s, something like that. That's our ideal situation for that. Ryan's asked, how would you approach a new venue that holds silvers and carp but is also heavily baited? I'd looked just to what is getting caught around the lake. So if you go to the venue and they're ploughing in boilies and pellets, that's what you're going to have to fish. But if they're ploughing in maggots and casters, that's what you're going to have to fish as well. I'd just go about it normally. I wouldn't go too gun-ho, feed a load of bait. I'd just take your time, get settled in, work your peg out. As soon as if they're responding to feed and you're getting bites, feeding more, keep up in the feed until you reduce your bites and then just stop that again. But yeah, just take your time with it. Be a bit cautious because it's heavily baited. There's sometimes, just because there's loads of bait going doesn't mean they eat it all. So just take your time with it, be cautious, try and use what baits they're fishing with, and you'll be happy days that one, right? I think that's it for that one. So that's it for part 1. I've just got so many questions, I'm just going to do it in 2 parts. So that's part 1 out of the way. I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A, answered all your questions. Don't forget to subscribe because it really helps with the channel, helps me produce more videos, and you don't miss any more future videos like this one. So I'll see you soon, guys. Stay safe, get on the bank and catching them fish. Cheers.